we have a lot to talk about. Hey everybody, Talk here, and yeah, there is a lot to talk about here. Now, I'm apologizing because I'm late here. I'm really late. I was going to keep my world building videos going, and then the new Star Wars trailer dropped, and I'm like, okay, let's watch that. And then I watched that and went, okay, I guess I could talk about this. This could be okay. And then I was on a forum discussing said teaser, not trailer, teaser. And, well, several side tangents happened, and, well, I kind of went down the Nu-Canon rabbit hole. And there's nothing else to call it other than the Nu-Canon rabbit hole. Now, I know the title sounds rather inflammatory. The entire conflict makes no sense. That sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? It does. Until you start poking around in all of the extraneous information. You know, all the old expanded universe stuff. Well, that's what it used to be called. Now, I don't know if they still call it expanded universe. Whatever. I don't care enough because most of it's terrible, as this entire video should point out to you. Basically, the entire military conflict between the First Order and the New Republic, which lasted all of about 5 seconds, makes absolutely no sense. It makes no sense from a multitude of angles, and I'm going to start this chronologically as best as I am able. Now, I kept going down the rabbit hole, and as far as I can tell, it just keeps going, so I decided to just call it a stop at a point and come here and inform you about what I have found. Now, all of this was found on Wikipedia. I haven't actually read through all this, the actual primary sources, solely because I'm not reading through that much crap, okay? Not for something that I don't actually like. Now, I'll do this for the old Legends canon. I will happily go look through cross-sections and all that other cool stuff, because it's cool and it's consistent, largely consistent within itself. And I enjoyed that universe. I don't like this new one. This new one's bad and poorly thought out, as I keep saying I'm going to point out why, and I'm going to do that now. Alright, let's start things off here. So, Battle of Endor happens, right? Great. Rebellion's got a big win here. They just chopped the head off the snake. That's a big deal. That's very important. That's excellent. Now, throughout this, I'm going to point out the differences between Legends canon and the sequel canon. Nu-Canon, as I'm going to be calling it from here on in. So, in the Legends canon, this was just a big win for them, PR-wise, as well as actually militarily, for a while, and they had to keep going. The war kept going on. They didn't take Coruscant until, I want to say 2 years after that, so 6 ABY, I believe. I could be wrong on the specific date, but they took Coruscant slightly thereafter, and technically the war with the Imperials, which stopped being called the Imperials and started being called the Imperial Remnant, went on for another decade and a half. I think it was about 20 years or so, until they finally signed a peace treaty to stop beating the crap out of each other, and then they just kind of split the galaxy amongst themselves. Basically, the Empire had their chunk, and the New Republic had a much bigger chunk, and that was theirs. That's how that war ended. Not bad, actually. I mean, it's a rough run, but it's a fairly realistic look at how the war would have went down, actually. It wasn't, haha, we killed the Emperor, and everything's hunky-dory now. No, we killed the Emperor. Now we gotta go kill Dala, who's in charge of the Empire. Now we gotta go take out this other guy, and now this Thrawn dude showed up, and now there's Warlord Zinji flying around, and then there's all the Moffs, and then there's this Pillion guy out here making a mess of everything. It kind of just kept going on and on and on and on and on, because new warlords would come out of the woodwork somewhere with some crazy super weapon the Emperor made. It was a bit of a joke, actually, after a point, where it's just like, how much crap did this dude have? Now, in the Nu-Canon, that doesn't happen. Nu-Canon, the Battle of Endor happens. 8-9 months later, the Battle of Jakku happens. Bam, war's done. Little unrealistic, but okay, whatever. I guess I can accept this. It's the Empire they just kind of slammed into them while they were routing and just made a giant mess of everything. Okay, that happens. Now, what was left of the Empire, which what I would call the Imperial Remnant, I'm going to keep calling them that because they don't really have an official name, so they are the remnants of the Imperials, so we'll go with that. The Nu-Canon Imperial Remnant fled into the core worlds, just like the old Imperial Remnant. And they officially surrendered and whatnot. They kind of worked alongside the New Republic for a bit. Now here's the first big problem. It's not that. That's believable enough. They still have enough military power to control various sections of the galaxy. The New Republic doesn't have enough to force them out, so they're kind of stuck there. The first big issue here is the fact that Mon Mothma, who is a very smart woman, I very much like her in Legends. She's just awesome in general. Wanted to divest her position of all of the emergency power she had been given. This is entirely understandable, actually. This part I'm okay with. Because she had watched Palpatine do his Palpatine stuff. So she doesn't want to go and do that. Okay, so she's divulging these powers. She did this in Legends too. She just did this slightly later after they got Coruscant and were able to call themselves the legitimate New Republic again. So, they did that. In this one, she does it, but there's also another thing attached. Not only does she do that, but she wants to decrease the military. Okay. I guess. By how much, right? 10%, 15%, hey, maybe 20, that's a lot, but, hey, you know, hey, we want to keep peace here. No! No, not a reasonable number. Not a sane number. 90%! She wants her military to be 1/10 the size of it currently. Now, I have no numbers as to what size it was at that point. But let's be realistic here. That's insane! That's utterly mind-bogglingly insane. You just ended a war, okay? We're talking 6 months after this. Like, the ink is barely dry. Not even that. The ink is not even dry on the peace treaty between you and the Imperial Remnant, and you want to do that. Now, at the same time, they could force the Imperial Remnant to do this too, and they did somehow. The exactitudes on the wiki are kind of vague, but frankly, the wiki likes going into detail usually, so I'm just going to go with the fact that there isn't apparently information on that, which I wouldn't be surprised. So that happened. She just decided that we need to have 90% of our military go away. And I don't know what that means by go away. They just demilitarize. Do you mothball the fleet? Do you sell parts of the fleet off to interested buyers? Do you take them to the breaker yard? What'd you do with them? It doesn't say. At no point do they tell me what she does with the fleet. Or the rest of the military. That's kind of poof, gone, like we're playing an RTS or something. Now, this wasn't... to give some level of credit to whoever wrote this, I can't give exactly a lot, but to give a little bit of credit here. Okay, they wanted to increase the planetary defense forces, and they were the ones who were going to do it. You know, kind of like America in its early rendition of the militia will protect us. That didn't work, by the way! There's a reason we have a standing military now! So, that was the solution. So, okay, well, we got a lot of extra snub fighters, you got extra Corvettes. Yeah, I'm sure planets could buy those. What are you doing with all the, MC-80 Star Cruisers that you have? Or the other, cruisers, or heavy cruisers. Or the Nebulon B frigates. What are you doing with those? Because these are part of your fleet, and gotta tell ya, your average planet's not going to be able to sustain one of those. Now, could, the Kuat drive yards probably maintain a Mon Calamari cruiser, which is an inadequate name, it should probably be called a battleship, but, an MC-80? Yeah, probably. Would they? No. No reason to. They could have, 4 or 5 Corvettes for the cost of that thing. Probably more, and that'd be far more helpful to them. Because they're dealing with pirate raids and stuff, and you want Corvettes for those. There's the flaw. You need a large... The central body makes the large parts of the military, the battleships, the aircraft carriers, those things. Or in this instance in Star Wars, it would be battleships, it would be your big frigates, it'd be your cruisers, it'd be your carriers, it'd be all those things. Those are the things you need to have. Because otherwise your fleet doesn't work. Because otherwise you are a fleet of small ships. And once again, America tried that and it doesn't work. Okay? This is why we invented the Constitution class. It can outfight anything it can and it outfights anything that can outrun it, and it outruns anything that outfights it. That was the general philosophy. Made a really beautifully overgunned frigate. Great. Love that kind of ship. So that was that idea. Now, you could do that in Star Wars to an extent and make a disgustingly overgunned cruiser. There's probably been several versions of those. I would probably look to the Mandalorians if you want to find anything like that. And the fact that the Rebel Alliance, now the New Republic, really likes snub fighters. That helps too, because they get the nice ones, the expensive ones. Now, sure, those are great, and they can totally take out battleships, but you still kind of need battleships. Or at least cruisers. You need a big ship with big guns, because while snub fighters are great and all, they don't take out those things quickly, and they do like having something distracting them. As much as I love Y-Wings. I love Y-Wings. You all know I love Y-Wings. Y-Wings can totally take out battleships. They could totally take out battleships by themselves. I won't deny that one. They're actually decent at it. They do it better when they have help. It's just everything speeds up that way. So if you want to make a snub fighter fleet, you would have cruisers backing you up. Well, the New Republic decided they just wanted to have a tiny one. A very, 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 very tiny fleet. Which is dumb on so many levels. But okay. So you just ended the giant war, and now you've done that. Magically. This is enough of a problem, but we're going to keep going because this gets worse. So, here we are, New Republic. It's all shiny and new. Well, the Imperial Remnant's getting sick of their BS and decides, screw you, we're going to the unknown regions where we're going to go make a new thing with blackjack and hookers. And so they did. Like 2 years later. I'm not even kidding. It's like a couple years later, they just walked away. And a lot of people were like, yay, they're gone! And other people were like, I'm slightly concerned about that. Guess who's the smart ones in that particular group? It's the second ones, because you should be concerned about that. So, there's our first red flag, and Leia was kind of going, hey, I don't like this demilitarization thing. I get why we're doing it, but that's a little excessive. And she was just constantly being sidelined. Yeah, you know, Princess Leia, the hero of the rebellion. Seriously? Are you kidding me? This is ridiculous. I get Mon Mothma is too, but it's like, hello? Yeah, no, you're just like some warhawk. Go away. Yeah, Princess Leia is a warhawk trying to relive her days of glory. I don't buy that. No, it's so dumb. It's politics, so maybe you can make it work, but No. I'm sorry, Borsk Fela is not in here, and if he's not in here, I'm not buying somebody spinning that crap, because that dude is a bullshit master. Okay, so they did that, and then they turned off, of course, and become the First Order, because you knew that was coming. So they've done that. What has the New Republic done in that time? Nothing! I also forgot to mention something. They're way smaller than the Old Republic. You know how the Old Republic was like most of the galaxy? Like a lot of it? The Empire actually got slightly larger afterwards. They're not. It even says they're a small fraction. I'm gonna be nice, okay? I'm gonna be nice and assume they're a quarter of the size of the New Republic. A quarter is a pretty big fraction. It is still a fraction, but it's a nice size fraction. So you are 25% of the size of the thing that came before you. And you have nothing. You've gutted your military, and now the First Order's over there. Now, this is fine, because you got about 20 some odd years, just shy of 30 years, of peace. Great. Wonderful. Then the First Order shows up. Now the First Order, I should set the stage here. So at this point, the Princess Leia has been outed as the daughter of Darth Vader. Her entire political career has been obliterated because of the machinations of a First Order agent who is a freaking senator. Yes. Not an aide, not somebody kind of up in the military. An elected official is now a First Order agent. She eventually gets ratted out, but other ones are in there. You get them, and then you get the sympathizers, and then you get the ones who just don't give a crap. This is a bit of a mess. Like, you're getting now that this is a bit of a mess, right? The New Republic is compromised. Not a little compromised. We're talking real compromised here. We're talking Rohan compromised. Like, it's bad. So you got that going on now. So, throughout that period, they just keep getting more and more and more corrupt. Like, we're talking end a Clone Wars era here. Like, late Clone Wars level of corruption. It's that bad. So, from an entirely meta perspective, good job, Disney. Everything they fought for is ruined within 3 decades. Great, thank you. That's such an uplifting message you sent me. Instead of in Legends, where the New Republic lasted for... I mean, the New Republic was off on some shaky legs early on, but it plowed through a lot, including the Yuzon Vong War. Think what you will of the Yuzon Vong, that war was, in-universe, absolutely devastating to everyone. And then the Second Galactic Civil War, and they made it all the way to the Legacy era. I don't know how old that is, but that's at least 100 years, possibly 200. So, good run! Good job, New Republic in Legends, and then technically you survived all the way through Legends to create the, what is it, Galactic Trifecta? Triumvirate? I can't remember what they called it, but it was 3 powers that came together to create the new Galactic Order. So good job, New Republic! You, in the Legends canon, you made a good run there. That's actually a pretty decent run. You had a lot of hiccups along the way. It was a very rough time for you, but you made it. Nu-Canon Republic, you suck. You made it 3 decades. And I'm being nice about that, because technically you're co-opted already before that, so did you really make it 3 decades? You made it to the point where Leia decided to go make a paramilitary organization, and then you did nothing to stop her. That should tell you how ineffectual this government is. Like, it's a joke. So, Leia's off doing her resistance thing because, well, everyone else is a frickin' joke here. Everyone else is either apathetic, an idiot, a First Order agent, or a First Order sympathizer. So this is one hell of a co-opted government. And then the First Order shows up. Now, I hope this has set the stage for you. This is a seriously compromised country. I'm not sure if I can think of I can't really think of a modern equivalent offhand. I mean, you know, I can't really think of any right off the moment, because I'm sure I could come up with some, but no, it's bad. It's very, 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 very bad. So, the First Order shows up, and they start doing raids on the border. They are attacking the New Republic. And this is just brushed away. Leia comes out and says something. She's like, hey, hello. I might have my timeline a little messed up here. I think she might make the resistance slightly after this, but I'm roughly correct, and that's kind of the important part here. Where she's like, hey guys, this is a serious problem and you should consider this. And then a lot of people thought she was a warmonger trying to relive her glory days, and we're like, no, screw you, they're not actually a threat, they're not really a problem. That would be all of the First Order sympathizers in the Senate. Yeah. Real great, right? It's real wonderful. Then we get to Starkiller Base. This is the shortest war in the history of the galaxy. It lasted 1 shot. They just turned on the biggest, stupidest freaking I hate that. Okay, by the way, I hate the giant death Pokeball, because that's what it is. By the way, if you can't tell, I hate the entire sequel trilogy. The whole thing is a dumpster fire. But this is not a review of that. This is me discussing the canon making no sense. So, Starkiller Base shoots off, destroys Hosnia Prime. Yeah, that's not Coruscant, that's another planet. Oh, I didn't mention that one. They move their capital periodically. That's not insanely expensive, and that's not just a massive waste of time, money, manpower, and just everything. It also is going to screw up trade. People trade with capitals because they're usually capitals for a reason. America's kind of weird in the fact that Washington, D.C. isn't actually an important hub of anything other than the capital itself, because we purposefully built it that way. There was a reason we did it like that on purpose, so nobody else was going to have to fight over it. Otherwise it would have went to like Philadelphia or New York or something. He would have been to a bigger city like that because that's naturally how this works. I mean, look at London. Look at... Pick any of them. They're all important for some reason. Usually trade reasons. So, they move these around randomly, and then Hosnia Prime blows up. Just... by the magically splitting super laser. God, I hate that thing. Just use the galaxy gun. It was such a better weapon. Ugh, sorry, I couldn't control that one. Okay. Now to the real big point about why none of this makes any sense. First part, they've co-opted most of the New Republic government. Okay, they have gotten to the point where they can make the New Republic government do nothing. They have enough power that they've sidelined multiple proposals in an attempt to stop the First Order from doing anything. Okay, they've done it multiple times already. Their people in there have stopped them from getting anything done. Other than one diplomatic rebuke of, how dare you shoot at us? Instead of, grabbing your gun and shooting at them. I'm just going to put this out here just so you all know why how much I hate them, the New Republic. They're so incompetent, they deserved this. Okay? That sounds heartless and horrible, but they are that incompetent. And I'm going to keep explaining why throughout the rest of this video. So, first one, they've been utterly co-opted by the First Order into the point that the government's basically vestigial. It doesn't do anything. It's there, it says a lot of pretty crap, and then does absolutely jack. Alright, so there's an issue. So, why are you going, well, why does that make no sense then? There's no reason to blow it up! There is no reason for you to sit there and go, I shall make this giant death Pokeball, because that's what it is, and shoot this. Why? Give it a decade, and a half maybe, and it's yours now, because you can completely co-opt it at that point. It won't be 30 or 40% co-opted, which is enough for just complete obstruction. You're going to own the whole thing, lock, stock, and barrel. Or at least a majority, which is going to be all you're ever going to need, and you can just shift the whole thing over to you if you want to play the long game. It's not like that's difficult. So you don't have to shoot it. So why did you bother? It was a waste of... It just makes Starkiller Base a giant waste of resources, frankly. The reason the Death Star actually works is because it was made by a galaxy-spanning empire. And frankly, in Legends, they decided to make retroactively explain why Palpatine made all of his planet-destroying super weapons because of the Yuuzhan Vong and their world ships. Think of that what you will, but hey, there's an explanation. Take it for what it's worth. Starkiller Base doesn't have one. I don't know why it's made. I don't know where they got it from. I don't know how they built it, because holy crap, you're a bunch of Imperial holdouts in the unknown regions. Where did you get that thing? I don't know. I doubt I ever will. So, first problem. You didn't have to do any of that. Second problem. You still don't need Starkiller Base if you want to wipe out the New Republic. If you want to fly in and just kill everyone in there, you don't need to blow up the entire system, and you don't need Starkiller Base. Ah, but Hawk, didn't the New Republic still have a fleet left? Well, yeah. This is gonna get fun. Okay. I would give you some statistics here for the ship. Now, the First Order's Resurgent class Star Destroyer. It is double the size of an Imperial 2 Star Destroyer, coming in at just over 3,000 meters. So this is a very big ship. For some reason, its armament are not arranged in a battery. Or listed as a battery, I should say. I'm pretty sure the guns are arranged in batteries on the ship. I just don't know why they're not on the statistics page. Now, you're going to notice something when you go to the wiki on this. On the side, it will say it has 1,500 turbo lasers, heavy ion cannons, and point defense systems. Now, that doesn't sound so bad, because if you arrange them in a battery, you would get something along the lines of, let's just say, 125 batteries of heavy turbo lasers. By the way, I'm putting 4 guns to a battery here. 125 heavy turbo lasers. We'll go with 100 heavy ion cannons, and then the last 25 can be point defense weapons. All right, that's not so bad. That's triple the firepower of the Imperial 2 Star Destroyer for a ship double the size. Now, that's a lot. I will admit that's a lot. Now, the ship should have to give up something. I would expect it to be very slow, because I doubt they're going to give up armor for that. But you could give up armor and keep speed if you felt like it. Because you clearly haven't given up the fact that you have point defense systems, unlike the Imperial 2 Star Destroyer, which does not. It does not contain any point defense systems. That's what the TIE fighters are for. Now, this ship also contains TIE fighters on board. It's not exactly a huge number. They're kind of just there for picket duty and keeping other snub fighters off your back. That's basically, they're there to lighten the load on the point defense systems, and I think they're just there as sort of a legacy item. They don't seem like the Resurgent needs them, honestly. It's my personal opinion on that one. Just as listed, it has a suitable enough number of point defense systems. Now, the issue is, now that says that, and I put them in battery for you. Here's the issue. If you go into the article itself, okay? Now, I totaled all the guns there. So remember, the Imperial 2 does not have point defense guns, so it has triple the firepower if you count point defense guns in the Resurgent. Go into the article itself, and you go down there, and you will find, it is a quote from the incredible cross-sections for the Nu-Canon. And it states that the ship has over 1,500 turbo lasers and heavy ion cannons. No mention of point defense weapons. It is mentioned that the ship has them, but they are not in that 1,500 count. That means it will have, just for my particular ratio, at least 150 heavy turbo laser batteries and 100 heavy ion cannons. That is straight up triple the firepower of an Imperial 2 Star Destroyer, or double the size. Again, I could buy this if the ship was noticeably slower, lacked point defenses as well, had weaker shields, something. It's got something, except it doesn't. It has none of this. It has more starfighters on board. It doesn't appear to be any slower than an Imp 2. It doesn't seem to be any defensively weaker than an Imp 2. And it has point defense systems on top of all of this. It's literally better than an Imperial 2 Star Destroyer in absolutely every single possible conceivable way. It's dumb. The ship does everything. Quite frankly, why would you build something that's not a Resurgent unless you are making a smaller Resurgent because the other Resurgent's just too big to do whatever you happen to need? That's the one downside, is size. You can shrink the sucker down. Now, the MC-85. The only MC-85 we have ever seen in a movie is the Raddus. And the Raddus is apparently not a prototype. It is not some weird oddball example of Republic build. That is what an MC-85 is supposed to be like. It's got really big engines. 11 of them, in fact. It's quite agile for a ship of its size. Okay, this is good. It also apparently guzzles fuel. I have complaints about this. Mostly the fact that, why does a ship that's 3.5 kilometers long consume fuel? This sounds like a ridiculous thing to ask, until I point out that modern aircraft carriers are nuclear powered. For a very good reason. Try refueling that. So why, in here, would you need to put fuel in the ship? Why does this thing not use a large reactor of some kind? Now you could go, well, it could just consume that fuel really quickly. Okay. That's still really dumb. Why would you put that on a battle cruiser? Or, in this case, a full-on battleship. Why would you put an engine that is that terrible at fuel economy on this ship? There's no reason for it. Just go with a more stable one that can go basically forever. Because that's the thing. If you have a reactor on it, it can go for a very, very, very long time. Like a ludicrously long time. Personally, I had always thought they had a reactionless fusion drive in their ion, which used an ion, which pushed ions out the back, which is how they have an ion thruster. That's how I had always assumed this worked, because it's like, you have ships this big, there's no way you're getting fuel in a reasonable amount of time, so you're clearly not using nuclear or something like that. I just went with, okay, it's Star Wars, why wouldn't they use fusion, right? That was the logic. Also, how do you power Coruscant if you're not using fusion? Or Star Wars' space magic version of fusion. I don't know what it would be, but there's my other idea. Okay, so we have that as a problem already. The fact that this ship has terrible fuel economy, like it's some sort of World War I battle cruiser or something. It's like a freaking World War I dreadnought or some crap. I don't even know anymore. Anyway, so there we get to that problem. Okay, next part. It has really, really, really good shields. Like, stupidly amazing, awesomely epic advanced shields. I've never told how much damage they can take, but they're really, really good. Okay, I'll believe you. Ship's twice the size of an MC-80, since you continue to point out how awesome the shields are. Okay, I'd say probably 4 times as durable as an MC-80, possibly 5 or 6. It's a pretty nice multiplier, I'll go with. Yeah, sure. I think saying its shields are 5 times stronger than a ship of equivalent size. Great, that's pretty cool. Now we get to the problem. The engines are an issue, but I could forgive them, because, hey, they're not really militarized. Maybe they're working out the kinks. The ship's new-ish. The shields are really cool. Okay, nice, great, new shields. Here is the ship's armament. 18 heavy turbo lasers and 18 heavy ion cannons, and I'm ignoring everything else because it doesn't matter. There's some proton torpedoes and I think a couple of tractor beam emitters, but none of it matters. Note, I didn't say batteries. 18 turbo lasers, 18 ion cannons. Its immediate predecessor, the MC-80, had 50 and 20 batteries, respectively. If we're going 4 each, that would be 80 heavy ion cannons and 200 turbo lasers. And it's half the size. It has near 10 times the firepower at half the size. Remember, this is the Home 1-ish, remember they're all different, compared to the Radis-ish, because I am assuming that particular design philosophy of Mon Calamari shipbuilding is maintained. To put this in real perspective here, to really blow that mind of yours, this is a Nebulon B frigate. Nebulon B frigates are great. They're good, respectable ships made by the Empire, and they did their job gloriously. The Rebellion loved to steal them, because they're really nice ships, and they actually make good hospital ships, apparently. Didn't know that. This ship is 300 meters in length. Alright, so it is about 12 times smaller than an MC-85, give or take. It has 12 heavy turbo lasers and 12 laser cannons, as well as some proton torpedo launchers. A ship 12 times its size has 1/3 more firepower than it. And yes, I am aware that laser cannons aren't exactly synonymous with heavy ion cannons, so technically, here, I'll give it a full double. It has double the firepower. That's sad. That's anemic. That is building a ship like the USS Texas, which is an American dreadnought, and then putting one 8-inch gun on it, and then telling it to go fight the Turpins. Or, screw it, the HMS Dreadnought. It's supposed to go fight the HMS Dreadnought. Guess who's winning? The HMS Dreadnought's winning. It's not a question. I actually don't know if the Texas could actually beat the HMS Dreadnought both in their prime, but you can understand the point I'm trying to make here. Here's another one. Okay, we have a guy in really good power armor. We're talking like Space Marine Terminator armor. Big, scary armor. And then you hand him a 25 caliber pistol and say, hey, go take out that Baneblade. This doesn't work. I don't care how good your protection is. Hey, you know what? Screw it. We'll put it in here. Here's the in Terminator armor, the other guy's in Terminator armor, but the guy in Terminator armor over there is dual-wielding thunder hammers. You're done. You don't win this fight. Like a 0.1% chance you can win this fight by getting the pistol into his eye slit and pulling the trigger. But the dude with the thunder hammer is just gonna go whoop, 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 and you're dead. You will just be dead. Even if you make them batteries. Okay, here, the direct comparison. For those of you that were really curious, because I don't know if any of you did the math, the Resurgent outguns the MC-85 41-1. 41-1. This is me assuming the minimum number of guns. Remember, it says 1,500 plus. There's a plus there. It can have more guns. This isn't even the worst part. Apparently, in the first version of Incredible Cross Sections, they were gonna give it 3,000 guns. It was going to outgun the MC-85 82-1. That's insane! Who looked at this and went, yeah, this is fair? Considering the Radis is down here and I have to climb onto the roof of my house in order to make this even. By the way, I'm in my basement. To get this differential in place. But the shields, Hawk! The shields! They don't matter! It doesn't freaking matter! You're dead! The Radis and any ship of its class cannot hold a candle to a Resurgent. The Resurgent has too many guns! Well, here's the Radis, it's coming up. Well, I have more shields than you. Okay, great. You have as many shields, you have as many guns as a frigate. You have the fire output of a frigate. Most of the time, one frigate cannot take out a battleship. Very rarely will a frigate match the guns of a battleship, and it's only dumb luck if they kill a battleship by themselves. Usually it's a group of frigates, like 3 or 4 of them moving in. So if you have 3 or 4 MC-80s moving in to take on a singular Resurgent, they could probably win. Now, granted, they might not take a whole lot of... Now, honestly, in this instance, they might do okay, because, there's 4 or 5 of them to spread out there. They can intercept shots for each other with their really good shields. There's a strategy. Except the MC-80 is 500 meters bigger than the freaking Resurgent. Your ship is bigger and it has less offense, it's just better at defense. What is this? What the hell? Because now that this has been established, why didn't the First Order just fly in with 5 or 6 Resurgents? Because remember, the New Republic castrated their military, and I have no other words for what they did other than they castrated their military. It'll just stroll in with half a dozen to a dozen Resurgents and blow them to hell. Oh, look, we win. Hi. Because you don't have enough ships, because you don't outnumber us 4-1. And that's what you need to do. You do outnumber them. By a lot. Now, we could just throw lots of frigates and cruisers at them. Yeah, that was a great theory, except that one Resurgent has so many freaking guns, it's going to blow them out of the water before they can do anything. I mean, this would be like challenging the Tirpitz and the Bismarck to a duel with a World War I heavy cruiser. Yeah, maybe you could do something. By odds, they're gonna blow you to smithereens. That's what's gonna happen here. Or in a better one, look at the battle the Graf Spee had in World War II when it was commerce raiding. The fleet it ran into there was only one ship that could do anything to it. It ran roughshod over the opposition. That's what a single Resurgent will do. I haven't even gotten into the fact that they have Mandator 4 siege dreadnoughts. In short, the First Order doesn't need Starkiller Base. At any point. It's an unnecessary ship. Base, planet, thing. They can do it with normal ships. Now, you're probably going, well, wait, they clearly don't have that many Resurgents. Well, you say that, but they apparently have hundreds of ships, and the only ships we've seen from them are Resurgents and the Mandator Siege Dreadnought. That's it. That's all we've seen out of the First Order. That and all their TIE fighters. They don't have other ships. They don't seem to have cruisers. They seem to have gone with the Imperial doctrine of big honking ships. So maybe they've got a Victory class. Well, Victory style ship. But it'd just be a gunned down version. It'd just be a smaller version of a freaking Resurgent. Which means it would be overgunned for its size. Which means it would have a boatload of firepower. And if anything, the New Republic is not going to have anything to take that on. The New Republic was screwed the whole time. And no, they didn't need Starkiller Base. It didn't matter. The New Republic didn't have a prayer at any point. But we see a big chunk of their fleet get blown up in The Last Jedi. Doesn't matter. 20 ships. And the Supremacy. Now, the Supremacy is an actual loss. I will actually point that one out. That was a flying factory ship. You kind of see it in one scene, which is really annoying to me because they were using it so stupidly. That is a strategic Supremacy vessel. You fly that off into an asteroid belt somewhere to start crapping out frickin' Star Destroyers. Just start dumping them out because you can. That's what it's for. They lost. Well, that ship was crippled. It wasn't destroyed, it was crippled. Very severely. You could probably fix it. I mean, the chunk's over... The wing part's over there, and the rest of it's over here, and apparently it was holding atmosphere, so as long as it doesn't fall into a planet or something, it's apparently still functional enough. And then there was 20 crippled or destroyed Resurgent-class ships. Now note, I didn't say all of them were destroyed, I said crippled or destroyed. Meaning, you now have probably anywhere from 7 to 10 salvageable ones out of that. So if they have hundreds of ships, so I'm going to assume that's 300 at least. Because you don't say hundreds when it's less than 300. So we're going to go with 300 on the small end. That is 1%, well, that's 3% losses. Not even. It's pretty low losses, guys. That's really low. The only thing that matters out of that loss is the Supremacy. And that's not even technically gone. It's not necessarily obliterated. They might be able to salvage it, or at least vast chunks of it in order to repair it. If 3/4 of that ship is, or well, let's just say 2/3 of the ship are still intact, they can make a new wing and reattach it and have the thing go back to its job. The First Order was mildly inconvenienced there. Now, they lost Snoke, and frankly, they're more likely to die in some sort of idiotic civil war between Hux and Ren at this point. But that's not the point I'm getting at here. They have the most powerful fleet in the galaxy. Their ships make the New Republic look like a joke. Anything the New Republic has was horribly outgunned by them. But the space militias will come and help them. Doesn't matter. What do you have? Armed merchantmen? Some gunboats? Maybe a frigate? Who cares? You face a battle line of Resurgents, you're gone. Because they're probably going to outrange you. Their guns definitely outpower yours. They're bigger than you. Their defenses are more impressive. And there is no Republic equivalent. And the MC-85 is a joke of a ship, and I have no idea how it passed anything either in-universe or out-of-universe. Seriously, a ship that undergunned should never have been produced. It's hard to explain something that weak ever being allowed into the actual Navy. And that's the core crux of this issue. There's nothing to stop them. It's laughable. The concept of the First Order losing through anything except their own ineptitude and civil war is basically gone. Unless some other larger faction that we don't know of is got their own battle cruisers or something comparable. The Resistance can't do jack. Even if their fleet hadn't been obliterated in The Last Jedi, they have nothing. There's nothing that can take on a Resurgent right now. And it's, again, I don't have any I have no words. I have no words for this. There are no words to describe my abject disappointment. That's really all I can say. Just abject, straight up disappointment. It's like, come on, guys. You bought Star Wars. We had a thing here. I understand you chucked the expanded universe. Okay, fine. You didn't want to... It's not fine. I'm not okay with it. But whatever. You made that decision. You went and replaced it with Nu-Canon. Except the Nu-Canon's moronic. I mean, even at its worst points, the old Legends canon at least remained generally consistent. Some stuff at the end got a little weird, but it was generally... people kind of coordinated. There wasn't anything quite like this. There wasn't anything where one side was so clearly outmatched by the other, and yet I'm supposed to buy that the New Republic was some sort of existential threat to the First Order. I mean, you've got everything going for you if you're from the First Order's perspective. Your ships are better than theirs. Your fleet's bigger than theirs, probably. Even if it's not bigger, it doesn't actually have to be bigger. It's gotta be roughly even on numbers and you're still gonna win. Hell, I can outnumber you 2-1, you're probably gonna win that fight. You've co-opted vast chunks of their government. You have the ability to create not one, but two Wunderweapons. I have no other term than the Nazi one for it, because, frankly, I wouldn't call the supremacy technically a super weapon. It's more of a super logistic thing. It's a giant ship that makes more ships. That thing is ridiculous. Starkiller Base is ridiculous in an entirely stupid fashion, not in a holy crap, that's actually impressive. It's like, no, that's just dumb. But in universe, you have a literal planetoid. I'm not sure if it's actually full planet size, but it's a planet-ish that is capable of shooting laser beams across the entirety of the galaxy, apparently. Okay, you had that technological capability. You have the technological capability to create something as impressive as the Resurgent. You have the technological capability to create the Supremacy. You not only outgun and have usurped or co-opted parts of the New Republic, you have better tech than them. I've seen nothing to even remotely show that the New Republic has anything comparable to them. For God's sakes, they have a weird hyperspace tracker now. I hate the explanation for how that thing works. It's dumb, but whatever. They have it. So the entire war doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't work. It's like... it'd be like... I don't know, Crimean War Britain? No, not even that. It'd be like Crimean War Russia trying to fight 1980s America. No. We all know how that's gonna end. It doesn't end well. Okay, let's go with a slightly less disparity. World War I Russia versus 1980s America. You don't come out of that looking okay. Even if you win, I don't want to know what your losses are. They're going to be so horrific that you will cease to exist. So yeah, the entire sequel war, because that's the thing, the war is the important part here. That's what's kind of driving this whole thing. It can't happen, because it's so dumb. There's no reason for it to have happened in the first place, and the First Order has so much crap stacked in their favor, it's like, how did you not just roll over everybody? And they did. I mean, we watched what happened in The Last Jedi. They just roll over them in the slowest, stupidest chase I've ever seen on screen, but they rolled over what was left of the Resistance. The Resistance traded everything, and I'll be nice, bloodied their nose. I don't know what they're going to pull out in Episode 9 in order to try to fight the First Order, but frankly, I don't see what they have. unless a fleet comes out of freaking nowhere, and I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing. You could bring out 40 or 50 mothballed MC-85s, and I don't see a single one of them doing a difference. They won't make a difference. Nothing will. That's kind of the problem here. You have put yourself in a situation where you can't win by any sense, by any thought process. You're boned. So way to go, Disney. You've handed it to the First Order, where the only way that the good guys can win is by utter and complete incompetence of the opposition, which even that wouldn't stop them, and a civil war. And once again, the Resistance doesn't win that anyway. The First Order still wins after that. It's just now a smaller First Order. It's a good job. The bad guys win because you guys have no idea how to design ships or set up proper conflicts. Words escape me at this point, and I'm rambling, but when I honestly expect, and I'm not even trying to be a massive dick here, but when I actually think a 5-year-old can come up with a better situation than this, what faith am I supposed to have in the professionals? Because they are professionals. For God's sake, you are a bunch of professionals who get paid to write cool shit about an awesome setting, and you're so incompetent you can't even get the battleships to match up reasonably? What the? It's right there. Wikipedia is right there for you. Just type the freaking ship name in, look at it for 5 seconds and go, okay, that's the MC-80, that's what those stats are. That's the old Imp-2, great. And then just scale the sucker up. It wasn't difficult. It took 5 seconds of effort. And you couldn't be bothered to put in 5 seconds of effort. And that's the sad part. Really. It's not even an in-universe issue. It's just out of universe. It's so lazy. I know I shouldn't talk. I'm a pretty lazy dude too, but come on, guys. A 5-second Google search would have fixed all of this. Because you would have realized how moronic this fight is. How utterly unbalanced. This isn't something plucky heroes can overcome. You're just screwed. Alright. I'm done, because otherwise I'm going to keep going on this, because it's just a never-ending rabbit hole. But I hope you guys all enjoyed this. It's long, it's rambly, it's disjointed as hell, like most of my stuff is, but I think I've got a point somewhere in here. If you made it all the way to the end of this, thank you. Remember to like, share, subscribe, leave a comment below, all that great stuff. And let's hope I'm wrong and this actually gets so much better or retconned later. Peace out.